Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Gamer Milk Retro Gaming Podcast. Every week we spin a wheel and then we play a random retro game, which is 15 years or older. I am your host, Mr. Stray, and today I am joined by Stick Bob. Hello,
Hello.
hello, Stick Bob. And it is a special episode because we are joined by a guest today, Octorok Reviews. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you, Strick?
I am awesome, and I'm very excited to have you on here today. You are the second guest on this podcast, but
Who was the first?
a friend of ours, Blaze, who also makes YouTube videos, but you are much more important. You are much more important.
Whoa! I feel bad for Blaze.
No.
Don't.
Yeah, don't. On that episode, actually, that episode is very important to me because if I found one of my favorite games ever in that episode, which was Predator on the NES. It is. Have you played it?
No, I have not.
It's a great game.
I need to. I've been going for quality over quantity when it comes to my game collecting because I do complete in box collections.
Oh,
So I've got like 7 NES games on my shelf, and like 2 of them are Zelda.
Good luck looking for a Game Boy in box.
Oh my god, that's the worst. I have like 4 only after like 5 years of retro collecting.
I was like 14 when I found my first inbox game, and I had been looking for like so many before, but I never see Game Boy inbox. It's very rare.
Very rare. It's also, you have to be careful to watch out for fake ones too. But luckily, it's really easy. It's really easy because they imprint like the number slightly like on the cartridge itself, and in the right light you can see it. So you have to look for those ones.
Stick Bob doesn't like Predator, and what we do at the end of the podcast is we vote. We do a vote majority rules on if the game is good or not, and if the listeners should play the game. And we also have a veto to get rid of the problem of there only being me and Stick Bob for some episodes. We have a veto that we get every 10 episodes, and they cannot stack. And basically, if you yell out veto, which we are giving you a veto, and you can use it at the end of the episode when we do the voting, you get a veto. I currently don't have my veto, because I used it on Predator. Because both Blaze and Stick Bob hated the game, and I quickly yelled out veto, and basically none of the others' opinions matter. It's only your opinion if you say yes or no to it. And I said yes, and I said it's one of my favorite games, and Stick Bob is mad. Stick Bob got really mad. Everybody got mad.
Get Blaze to use his guest veto.
Yeah. And also we can use our vetoes together, but we can't use them against each other. So if it's against each other, it's the first person to say it. But me and Stick Bob have used our veto before to say that a game was Super Gamer Milk is what we call it. And if we ever get 3 vetoes at once, which would be a guess, then we are calling it Mega Milk.
Oh my god.
But we only have one Super Gamer Milk, and that is Super Mario Galaxy, which is one of the best games that we have played on the podcast. No, Predator is my favorite game that we've played. I'm not lying. It is my favorite game.
Oh my god, an NES game?
Yeah, an NES game.
Look, I love Zelda 1, all right? And for anyone who's seen my videos before, you know how much I love that game. But even I will admit, and that is my favorite NES game, that saying that an NES game is your favorite game is a quick way to out yourself as someone who is blinded by nostalgia.
Well, I had never played this game. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there were a lot of movie games, and I know there were some really bad ones, like
Ed, Ed and Eddie.
the Freddy. Oh, yeah, sure. But the Freddy Krueger games, I know those ones were really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, because I think it's been a long time since I've seen it, but the Angry Video Game Nerd did
Oh
stuff
yeah,
on
yeah.
that a very, very long time ago. I used to watch his videos all the time because I'm an old man. Um,
we
but
we have played a lot of video game movies, video
mm,
games, whatever.
oh, I saw the first episode of yours I watched was the like after you contacted me for the podcast was the Toy
Uh-huh.
Story one
Oh
because I was like
yeah,
Toy Story Racing.
yeah. Stick Bob does not like that game, and I said I like it, but it's mostly nostalgia because that was one of the only games I had on my Game Boy Advance, which was my first console.
Mm.
Yeah, but what is your opinion on Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link?
Oh, that's a really good question because I still get comments on that video to this day that are like, "Man, you just need to get good, you scrub lord," and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Uh,
Well,
like,
depending on what you say, I'll have something either good or bad to say back.
yeah, let's see how this works out. So of course the I should probably preface right for anyone
Mhm.
who doesn't watch my videos. I make very long videos.
Yes.
That Zelda 2 video is actually one of my shortest ones. It's only like 42 minutes long.
When you
Um,
usually do an hour 40 minutes.
this Super Mario one that I'm just finishing up, it'll probably be out in a couple days, is going to
Mhm.
be 2 hours 10 minutes.
Wow.
Um, is yeah, because I like being thorough with these games.
How long does
Um,
it take you to edit those?
that first video I made was a month of dedicated editing.
Wow.
And when I say dedicated editing, I mean like doing nothing else but getting up in the morning and going to edit the video for like a whole month because I was just out of college at that time. So I had
Yeah.
the time to do it basically. um, I don't have that sort of time these days. But uh, this last one has taken me 7 months to edit, but that's not because I've been editing it that whole time. That's because a bunch of things have come up in my
Yeah,
life
it's un
personally.
mhm.
But I
Un
think overall, it's probably taken 5 weeks.
Wow.
So it can take a long time. But for Zelda 2, right? That game I played, if I recall, 6 times in a row. Um,
Whoa!
well, yeah, I play all these games like several times in a row.
Yeah.
For Super Mario 64, I dialed it down to 4 because it's a longer game. But I played that game 6 times in a row because I realized on that second playthrough, I was like, this game's really, really bad, and I need to understand why. And that's what I always do with my videos. So with Zelda 2, I played it over and over and over again and tried to pay attention to the little design details in the game and what exactly was wrong with that game. And what I've come to understand by this point is that the 2D side scroller look of the game, the genre that it is just simply not conducive to exploration. So when these dungeons task you with finding a very specific key or a very specific item somewhere in the dungeon, and it tells you to go look for that item, it's very difficult to know where you should go and track your movements because there's such a small screen space to work with. It's not like the top down Zelda games where you see a whole room,
Mhm,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
really useful, or the 3D Zelda games where you can see to the end of a room because of the camera in that game. It's just a very small screen that you have. So exploration is really, really painful to go through.
We're
And
very
that's what the
limited.
yeah, and that's what the game's built around is exploration still, because it's a Zelda game and it has you go and look for all these things and does it tell you where they are,
It's not
which
a
is
Zelda
fine.
game with no exploration.
Yeah, exactly. And so they added all that stuff in there, even though it's a side scroller, but it simply is not conducive to that kind of design, the game that
Mm,
they created. So I think that's my biggest problem with it. Um, it- Contrary to popular belief, I am actually good at that game because of how many times I played it.
All
It's
the
not
haters out there.
no, it's like, and I do actually like. I came to enjoy playing it on uh, the New Game Plus mode, because the New Game Plus
Oh,
lets
okay.
you, yeah, it lets you keep everything at the start. So you get to use your full range of movement throughout the game, and that's a lot more fun. But the subjective fun I had playing the game like that, still, like, that doesn't suddenly make the bad design choices, especially for the first time players, right? Someone who's just going in without New Game Plus on. That doesn't make that okay. So
Mm.
it's not that I personally hate the game, because I can tolerate it just fine. It's that the design is so poor, and that's why I go off on a tirade in my video about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is a little bit of a downgrade to the first game. The first game being very beautiful in design and everything, and how they were able to work with all the items that they added, and being limited as well to the NES cartridge. But it is my top 3 favorite Zelda game.
Hmm. Yeah, I know
um,
that there are some people who really love it, and there are things to love about it.
mhm.
Did you know that the Hollow Knight team, Team Cherry, they met by playing Zelda 2 and talked about how much they love that game?
Interesting. That
Yeah,
explains the difficulty of Hollow Knight.
yep. I was like, that explains a lot.
I
Um,
haven't played Hollow Knight, but my brother's currently playing it, and I just hear him rage and everything while playing it, the
mm,
game.
I got
um,
through that whole game, and it's a beautiful game. And it's a lot better designed than Zelda 2, actually. But I can also see some of the flaws that they carried over with it. But point being, there are people who like that game, especially for the challenge that it brings. And I think that's fair. Like I said, I subjectively enjoy playing it as well at times. I just think that it was a poorly implemented design philosophy in the end,
y- w-
and that's why I gave it a low score.
when I first played it, I beat it in 2 days nonstop,
Mm,
trying to find everything and dying multiple times. But it is my favorite game being and ever like every single game in the world
mm.
is Breath of the Wild. I mean, not Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry, Majora's Mask, but Breath of the Wild's up there.
Oh, okay. Majora's Mask. I have to ask the. First of all, I don't know how much of this is going to go into the podcast at this point, because we're
Oh
not
no,
even talking
don't
about the
worry,
game.
don't worry. We're
But
trying.
I have a serious question for you. You played Ocarina of Time, right?
Yes, after Majora's
Okay.
Mask.
After. Oh, okay. So that might be the factor. But what I want to ask is, what do you like about Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time?
I like the mask concept. I think it's one of my favorite Zelda concepts.
Okay. I like that you did not say atmosphere, because that is what every single person says, and
It's a complete
I
copy of the first game with that
I
stuff.
I roll my eyes every time someone says that, because I'm like, that's all they ever say. But I that's a good answer. Because I do think that that was a very interesting concept, that the game gives
Only
you like
three
40
days.
different. The game gives you like 40 different powers, basically.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's a very like wide range of abilities and ways to change the character's movements. And I'm actually surprised at how well designed that game's movement is, and how well
Mhm.
designed that the overworld is, despite how little time they had to make it. I think
Yeah,
it's very
and
impressive.
I've also played the 3DS version, which is just, oh my goodness, it just takes it up a step. Except for what they did with the how could I forget what the Zora?
Oh, the Zora swimming. Yeah, I hate that.
Yes, they made it so slow.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Um, yeah.
Stick Bob has yet to play a Zelda game, so he doesn't know what we're talking about.
Oh, you've never played a Zelda game?
No.
Oh, wow.
He
Hey,
he doesn't have Nintendo in his house.
I've got a Wii, bro.
Oh wait,
Literally
never. I'm
a
so
Wii.
sorry. You could
oh,
he could
what
play
was
my
your
least favorite Zelda though.
what was your first console, Stick Bob?
We are we counting handhelds?
Yeah.
Uh, sure, but after that, I'd like to hear the like console, like a home console.
I think might have been a DS. I'm thinking.
And
the
for a home
console, since I was like 5, I've had an Xbox 360, a Wii, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3. So,
and he has like 5 of
right.
each.
When I was a kid, my first console was the Sega Dreamcast.
Lucky.
Yeah,
it was ahead of its time.
A beautiful console. I still have it. I mean, it's not mine; it's my dad's. Because he was a big Sega guy back in the 90s.
I just bought a Sega Genesis to collect games for it.
He still has his Sega Genesis. It's like the same one he had back in like 1992 or something.
Wow.
It has a San Francisco 49ers
Let's
sticker
go.
on it. No. It has a 49ers sticker on it because my dad's a Broncos fan.
Wait, what?
And my dad's a Broncos fan. His roommate put the sticker on there.
Oh, well, I'm a 49ers fan and a San Francisco Giants fan because I lived in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I'm a SoCal boy, so
get out of here.
I've been up to the Bay Area though. It's a really nice area.
I hate it. I hate it now. I hate San Francisco.
Okay, I was being nice. I hate San Francisco.
Let's go. The Golden Gate Bridge is closed down, I think. I think you can't go on it anymore.
Dude, those streets are awful. Like the slopes, like those are freaking terrible. But what's funny about that, because we're just talking about the Dreamcast, is that my first exposure to seeing those streets was Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast, because there's Escape from the City, and it starts in San Francisco, and Sonic is running down those like long slopes, those long vertical slopes. I played
it, I believe, on the GameCube. They have it. They had that game.
Yeah, the DX version. Yeah.
Yeah, I played it though. A friend brought it over and he put it in our Wii, and we didn't know you could do this, but you could play GameCube games in the Wii.
Yeah.
And we were like so amazed. Yeah, it was the original Wii. And we're like, what? We've unlocked a new skill.
He's like, oh, you didn't see these? And he opens up the side and you see all those like GameCube controller ports, and you're like, oh my god.
Stick bump.
You never realized what the second disc in the little loading screen bit was.
Yeah, do you have that stick bump on your Wii?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got a GameCube compatible one.
I'm currently collecting all the consoles I want, which I have my eyes on an Atari at my retro game store. I just called them actually. And I'm getting that Atari for $40.
Oh my god, lucky. I don't have any retro game stores where I am because it
just opened up recently, so it's new.
Yeah, the one retro game store I went to was for my 21st birthday in Vegas. I like after like the party was done basically, and like people were like getting on their planes and stuff. Before I got out of there to go back home, I was like, I would really like to like see if there's a retro game store in Las Vegas, and of course there's a bunch because it's a big city. And I went to one, and that's where I got my my current NES. I picked it up there for $50.
I picked mine up for $20 at a secondhand store. They didn't have any wires, so I took a chance on it. That's why it was $20, and turned it on, and that beautiful boot up noise, and put in Mario, the first Mario game with Duck Hunt on it, and yep, I was like, yes.
Of course, that every NES is personalized. What position do you have to put your cartridge in order for it to actually play?
Oh, like what do you mean, upside down or?
Well, because mine, you know how like you put the cartridge in and then you push it down, right?
Yeah.
Mine doesn't work like that.
What?
I need to keep it up.
I push mine down.
Okay, mine does not work like that. I have to keep it up, which is not how it's designed to play, but that's how mine works.
So is that rare then?
I don't know, because I asked my dad about it, because my dad, I almost said my dad's old. I don't want to say that.
No.
But he was born in 1970, right? So
you only grow younger.
Yeah, so he grew up with an NES in the 80s, and I asked him, like, how normal is this? And he's like, oh yeah, every NES you need to push it in a different way.
Wow.
So that's just how mine works.
Okay, well, I would like to ask you a couple more questions, then we can get into our game
Of course.
this week. What is your favorite video game of all time?
So I gotta tell
Old
you,
or new, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so there's a trifecta I have. Whenever I get asked this question, there's three
Oh no.
three pillars of great games.
Okay.
So the original Halo, Ocarina of Time, and Skyrim.
Oh crud! You have 2 games on there I hate.
Please don't tell me Halo's one of them.
I won't tell you at all if that just makes you feel better.
Oh my god!
Okay. No. Hold on. Let me explain before you crucify me. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Please explain.
I hate Halo multiplayer.
Oh well.
I hate futuristic. I hate futuristic shooters in general. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Got a gun to my head right now. Futuristic shooters I really hate.
What's that?
I like Call of Duty type, like more like I hate like what they did with Black Ops, making it more futuristic.
Kill him.
No, Modern Warfare is the good story games, but I was literally at a retro game store yesterday with my brother. I was like, oh man, I don't like Halo, but I'm interested in the story.
We sentence you to play every Halo game.
I will play every Halo game. It's actually a couple of them are over 15 years, so they're retro. So.
Yeah, you should totally like. God, I should have done Halo 1 then.
If you would like to, whenever we get Halo, you can come back and we can play Halo another time.
I would love that. If you would have me again, I would absolutely come on for the Halo episode.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I just trash on it. I use my veto immediately.
So you gotta tell me now, is the other one you hate Skyrim?
Yeah, I really hate Skyrim, and I think it's only a good game if you add mods.
A long time ago, I used to like be heavily into modding, and that was for Skyrim. But keep in mind that for the first like 3 years of me playing Skyrim, that wasn't an option because I played it on the Xbox 360, which is like the worst version of the game.
I played it on PS4.
And I loved it on Xbox 360. I played that game all the time. My dad told me like years later when I was an adult, he's like, yeah, we were actually worried about you for a little bit. Like, we thought you were obsessed with that game, and I was like unhealthy. I was like, oh wow. But for the first 3 years, I played it on console. Then I got my first PC, and I played that game on PC for several years with mods. But about like 4 years ago, something like that, when I started like dropping off PC games and like started playing retro games a lot.
Yeah.
I also stopped modding games. And so now whenever I play Skyrim, I exclusively play it without mods. Because I think I just sort of figured out that mods are only fun to me because they add a new experience. But in reality, most of them are horribly designed.
Like adding Shrek into your Skyrim.
Well, yeah, but like even like the quest mods that I would download because I was usually into that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah,
they just like, yeah, they're mostly just like either poorly written, or they're really long and they like try
very
to like very drawn out, and like they don't connect with the rest of the game at all. But no, so you normally don't like that game?
No, I only played it because when I got PS4, it was my sister-in-law, she gifted it to me, a bunch of games, and it came with like the Avengers game, which is absolutely trash. And then it had that, it was collector's edition. I still have it. It's a metal casing of it. And I'm like, oh wow, what a cool case for a game that I hate. After I played it for like 2 weeks, and then I just decided to stop playing it, and I played Elden Ring instead, and I enjoyed that game.
Okay, well that's a pretty good game. Yeah, so then let's stick with Ocarina of Time.
A very very good game.
Because my next video for the Zelda reviews that I'm doing, because I'm reviewing all the Zelda games in order. And I've been doing that for the last 2 years, and I've only done 4 of them because it takes a long time.
How
and
many
also,
is there? 14 Zeldas?
16. There
60,
are 6.
I was close.
Well, actually, so here's the funny thing. It depends on your definition. By my definition, there are 16. There are 19 if you also count Four Swords Adventures, and Triforce Heroes.
Do you count Cadence of Hyrule?
No, I don't count that one either. I count.
How about the what is it, something Hyrule Warriors?
No, not that one either. So what I go by for this video series is all of the canon games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically all the games made by Nintendo themselves.
Okay.
Like their interior design team, and the Capcom games as well, because those are also considered canon. One exclusion is the multiplayer games, and that's the 3 I just talked about. I wonder if I'll at this point, I feel like it's a race. The 18th Zelda game, whatever that'll be, the one after this one, I wonder if that will come out first, or if I'll finally finish this series of reviews on Zelda games by the time that comes out. I feel like it's a race at this point, because I've already been beaten out by the 17th Zelda game.
You'll probably feel really good once you get to you're like, wow, I caught up on all the Zeldas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've played them all already. It's just like for the videos, because I don't even remember why I did it at first. I just did it because I wanted to start a conversation about these games, because I love them so much. And then I got fans. I got on the first day, someone made me a channel banner because of how much they enjoyed one of my videos, and it made me emotional. I was like, wow, people like what I do.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like making more videos, and since then I just had more and more people who like what I do, and I feel like continuing to do it just to provide something for them. Because I don't make any money. I make very little money off this channel, so it's just something I do because I have fun doing it, and I have fun seeing people enjoy it or even hate it. It's fun to get comments from people who are like, man, get good, because it's always
I did want to talk about this, your most viewed video.
Oh, okay, yeah. Please.
Would you like to explain?
Okay. So this is fun. That's the Midna Finally Wins, right?
Yeah.
Ever since 2013, I was really into a particular anime called Attack on Titan. It's very popular these days.
I'm about to start it.
Don't. It's very popular.
Don't start it.
Don't. Or just watch the first season and then don't watch anything else.
I have only watched 2 animes all through, and that being Promised Neverland, which that second season's very sad. It's so bad.
Yeah. I spent 10 years of my life watching anime, dude. All right, I'm gonna tell you right now. I
do not like anime, but if I see it, it's basically like me deciding to watch a show that I'm gonna be invested in. But I'm not an anime. I'm not a weeb.
That's a good way to. I was hardcore. I mean, I wouldn't say not really, because I wasn't going around saying oh, arigato gozaimasu. I wasn't speaking Japanese. Yeah, no, I wasn't doing that. But I was super into watching anime. And until I realized that most of it's crap, and that I only really liked the good stuff.
You'll never be able to marry her. She's not real.
No. Calm down, son. It's just a drawing.
Yeah.
But okay, so basically, right, Attack on Titan, the manga, ended in May of that year, 2 years ago. And when that happened, the ending was so awful, so horrible, that it made me so genuinely mad that I created what is my second most viewed video. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry. It was my most viewed video when it came out. But
things I hate about Attack on Titan.
Things I hate about Attack on Titan. and it's just 5 minutes of to the song "Light Up the Night" by the Proto Men. It's just 5 minutes of me ripping on Attack on Titan using just images from the manga.
I didn't watch that video because I had not seen Attack on Titan yet.
Good, because if you don't want to get spoiled, that's a whole spoils the whole damn thing. Of course, it's a good reason not to watch Attack on Titan. Like, that's the whole point of it. Is like these are awful things about Attack on Titan where the story just like goes downhill. But point is, you can't see this now because I deleted my Reddit account. But at the time, I had a Reddit account and I posted it on Reddit, and I got thousands of upvotes.
I was about to say, you probably got attacked by the entire anime nation.
No, because actually at the time, what you have to understand is that we were reading the manga, right? The manga ended. And people who read the manga at the time hated that ending so much that they were totally with me on it. And so I got thousands of upvotes. That was the first time my channel got some traction. And it was a really good feeling at the time. But that wasn't what my channel was about. So I didn't make another video like that for a long time. That is until the bit with the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess manga ending. When that ended,
I didn't know there was a manga.
Yeah, it was a manga. That's where the video gets its images from, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It started when the Twilight Princess HD remake came out on Wii U. When that came out, they made the manga they started making the manga to like promote it. Basically, it's marketing, right? They got a writer to write a manga, and it ended last January. And when it did, that writer, which is actually two people who write it, but they write under a single name. It's like Akira Himekawa or something like that. That's like the pen name. So the Himekawas, they ended the story with Midna kissing Link.
I did see that, and I'm like, oh, what is happening here?
Which is just so perfect. Because
everyone's dream.
My first Zelda game, Stray, was Twilight Princess.
Okay, well, I would like to throw in one more thing here, and then we can talk about the game. I'm already 40 minutes in, and we're talking about Zelda. But my least favorite Zelda is Twilight Princess.
Where's the disconnect button? I'm just looking for.
Oh wait. Okay. No, it's my least favorite because I put 45 hours into the game. That's what my Wii said. 45 hours, and I also played the Wii version, which probably sucks compared to the others because you have to do motion controls, and sometimes Link does not want to attack.
Stray, I've only ever played the Wii version.
Wow. Well, let me show you what I hate about it.
Oh, please do.
Do you know something called the cloud cannon glitch?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, okay. Well, you know the cloud cannon, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, so when you go and get the cloud cannon, ask Midna to take it up into the portal.
Right.
And then you go to place it down. Well, I had to leave to Walmart with my mom when I went there, when I was at that spot. So I was in the area where you're about to place the cloud cannon. I placed it, and then I exited the game. I exited and save. Well, apparently, if in that one cloud cannon area, if you save and then go back, you are stuck there permanently.
No,
because no, it's true. Because there is a guy that you can't place the cloud cannon because he says, "Hey, I can see you. What are you doing in there?" or whatever, and you have to get him away. Well, apparently he stays there and he will not leave. And the only way to fix it is to send your disc into Nintendo, and they send it back with fixing the glitch, but they don't do it anymore. And I tried to replay the game, and I hated it so much trying to replay it. I was so angry, and that's why I hate it.
Okay, so that is a completely subjective experience.
Yeah,
that's 100%. I completely understand. that is. Can I curse on this, or should I
Oh,
not?
feel free. I'll edit it out if I feel like it's needed.
That is
Go ahead.
Dude. That is the worst. I cannot. I have never heard of that. I'm 100% sure that's real though, because that sounds like a real glitch.
I looked up like hours of videos of people trying to glitch out. I used all my bombs to try to kill Link, and it didn't even spawn me out of the room.
Wow, that is awful. I will give that to you. That is a completely fair reason to hate it. But anyway, Twilight Princess. That was my first Zelda game, and so when that manga that manga ended and it had those two kissing, and in the way that it had it written as well, it was very very sweet. Yeah. It was just like it was. Even though I'm an adult man, and I haven't like shipped characters for a very long time because I'm an adult man and I'm jaded and everything. I felt giddy like an 8-year-old boy all over again. I was like, oh, thank God. I finally, after 16 years, these freaking characters. And so I just in a moment of deep passion for the story and for these characters that I experienced when I was a child, I just put together that video. And selecting the song was one of those moments where I was like, what song would go with my excitement for this? And I don't know how I landed on it, but I Need a Hero, but the Shrek version, not the original.
The best version. It's the best version from Shrek 2.
Yeah, the best version. I used that. And one comment I got in that video, which I think perfectly encapsulates like the spirit behind that video. Someone left me a comment that was like, I haven't played this game before, but the enthusiasm behind this video is palpable. And it was just a bunch of enthusiasm for how much I like those characters. But yeah, so I guess that's my most viewed video. Is not one of my reviews, but a short little video about characters I shipped when I was 8 years old.
Wow. It's like people who watch Pokemon for 25 years shipping Ash with every single girl character that came on screen. That was his age, like Ash and Misty, here we go.
And yeah, well, I feel sorry for them because they friggin' ended his story without even like doing one of those.
I thought they're supposed to give him an 8-episode send off.
They did that already. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they did, and nothing happened.
Yeah, I think it ends with
wow.
I think it ends with him throwing a stick in the air. The stick lands, and it points in like one direction of the path. Like there's a path that's like forked, and then he goes down that direction with Pikachu. And it's just like the two of them walking off into the sunset.
It just points at a volcano.
Yeah, which is very like it's very like a non-ending. Like where does that go?
When we played Pokemon, I forgot which
Diamond,
one it was.
Right?
Yeah, Diamond and Pearl, which I gave. I gave it a no.
Yeah, I remember that episode of yours very well because it just starts with Bob being like he said something dumb where he was like, this next game's really bright, like diamonds or like something.
Oh yeah, wait,
for that.
No. Okay, so I had gotten my wisdom teeth removed at that time, and I had nothing except a sore mouth. So the entire episode I was drooling into a cup.
I was laughing so hard at that. I was like, I like Bob.
Since then, Stu has never let me do the intro.
No, but I will get my other side of wisdom tooth removed, so maybe in for there.
Oh no.
So yeah, I got my left side.
I get mine removed.
That's like 4 years from now. But anyways, I dragged you guys on a dragon quest.
Oh my god! All right,
Dragon Quest 2.
Is this where the actual podcast starts? Did we just have like a 40?
Yes. Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
This is what happens here at Game of Hope.
Wakey.
I'm so sorry. I talked too long, dude.
No, it's all right. I'm having fun. So far, my favorite episode ever.
Yeah, Stu was hating on Halo.
Oh my god.
Having fun.
I hope your audience crucifies you for that. I
Yeah.
just love that game. Yeah,
Drag-
Dragon Quest 2.
Dragon Quest 2 was Pantheon of Evil Spirits is what it was originally called, but then it was changed to Dragon
Was
Warrior
it?
2. Yeah.
Wasn't it Luminaries of the Legendary Line, or is
yes,
that like
it has multiple names. That's one of the two.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Link's Awakening then, because like the original one is Shime no Mira, or Shime no Yume no Shima, which is like Dreaming Island.
Yeah,
But they call it
makes
Link's
sense.
Awakening in English.
Makes sense. Dreaming Island actually sounds cool because that's pretty much sums up the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dragon Warrior 2 is what it was called in North America. It's the second installment in the Dragon Quest series. It was initially released in Japan for the Famicom on January 26th of 1978, with the North American release in September of 1990. Wow. It was on like so many consoles: Famicom, NES, MSX, MSX2,
Yeah.
SFFC, Game Boy Color, which was a remaster, whatever.
Yeah.
Which I've actually looked at that one, and I was like, wow, looks beautiful. The Wii, mobile, Android, iOS, 3DS, PS4, and the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, most of those are Japan exclusive. Like the Wii and PS4 versions, I think are only Japan, but Switch that's American version. I saw they were selling it for like $6. Don't buy it.
No. We'll tell you why.
Oh god. So where do we start?
Game overview description.
I actually wrote something down here for that. Dragon Quest 2 is a turn-based RPG made by crazy game developers, aka Square Enix.
Yep.
In this game, you travel the world collecting 5 MacGuffins, but not before being sent on several wild goose chases in order to build your party and finally get a healing spell.
I was not expecting that.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to use that, but
you can just bleep it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate this game so much, dude.
But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Now we'll start off. Did any of us finish this game this week?
No.
No.
I regret to inform you, gentlemen, that not only did I finish this game the first time I played it, I finished it for this podcast.
Oh my god. When we first started this podcast, I was beating every single game that we had, but then we reached I believe Mario Sunshine, which I could not beat.
That's fair.
In a week, it was pretty hard. And
we were down from there.
We were also, I emulated it on computer playing with an Xbox One controller, so
I just have an extremely high tolerance level for stupid bullcrap. And I think that comes from the fact that I've reviewed Zelda 2.
How dare you? Don't speak bad about that game.
Hey, you were speaking bad about Halo.
That is absolutely
fair point.
Yeah. Oh my god. I played this game. I remember the first time. Well, so I should probably say that the reason why we played this game, and I don't know if Bob knows this, but Stray contacted me a week and a half ago.
I think 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago? Was it that long? Oh, wow.
2 or 3. Wait, no, it might have been 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay.
Somewhere in March.
But you contacted me a few weeks ago, and you were like, hey, we'd like to invite you on the podcast as a guest. And I said yes. Super stoked about it. And then you were like, yeah, as the guest, you get to choose what game we're going to play. So what would you like to do? And I was thinking to myself, like, I love Zelda, and I'd love to play a Zelda game for this, but I feel like it'd be unfair of me to do that because I make these long reviews on it, and I know so much about these games, and I'm so prepared that I feel like it'd be sort of mean-spirited to like choose a game I've reviewed. So I was like, no. Know what I'll do? I'll have 2 games in mind, and I'll give Mr. Stray a little choice. And so I said, what do you want to play? A good game or a terrible game? And Stray said, a terrible game.
Yeah, so me and Stickball were wondering, what would have been the other game?
I was actually thinking Zelda 1.
Why did I choose terrible? I knew it. I was telling my brother, it's gonna be a Zelda game. Watch, I just lucked out.
But I thought the reason why I thought of Dragon Quest 2 is because this game was so horrible when I first played it. It was my least favorite RPG until I played Final Fantasy VIII. That game is way, way worse.
With 7 being the best.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. But this game is so bad that I've actually used it as a visual gag in my videos before. I don't know I don't know how many of my videos you've seen anyway, but I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes when I say like, oh, a good or a bad game, when I say the words bad game, I'll have like Dragon Quest 2 appear for like a split second.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought, I've only played this game once, and I use it as a visual gag for bad video games, like all the time. So why don't I choose that as the terrible game? And so when you said terrible game, I was like, Dragon Quest 2. All right, I'm finally going to play this game again. Oh my god, I'm so sorry I didn't pick Zelda 1.
It was 500 years ago that I had put my hands on this game. Never to return. Locked it up and threw away the key.
Yeah, it's been sitting on my shelf. I played this on the NES too.
Yeah, we both emulated it because I could not find a copy where I went. I couldn't find it. I tried to buy it. I tried.
Well, only the first Dragon Quest game, or Dragon Warrior, sorry. Only the first Dragon Warrior game is readily available because they, a little history lesson here, they produced 500,000 copies of that game before it was even like released in the US because they anticipated that it was going to be a big hit because it was a massive hit in Japan. It was like the best-selling NES game ever when it came out. So they thought like, oh, hell yeah, when we release this game in America, everyone's going to it's going to blow up. It did not. So they had like 500,000 copies just like sitting around. They literally sent them out for free with Nintendo Power subscriptions just to get rid of them. So that's
wow. Nintendo Power, that's old.
I know, right? That's why you can find the first Dragon Quest game everywhere. It's what you said to me when you like texted me, like I can't like find this game anywhere, but I can find the first one.
Yeah, the first one everywhere.
Yeah,
like multiple copies.
The second one is not. And I remember at the time I spent I think like $80 on that game to like get it. Nowadays though, the American version these days is like I think it's like $150, something like that. I'm talking complete in box prices, by the way, because that's what I would buy. I don't buy retro games anymore because prices shot up after the pandemic. But
only buy what I want to play.
Well, I wanted to play that because I really liked Dragon Quest 11. That was the first Dragon Quest game I played. That was on the Switch. And so I was like, let me go back and play these. And I played the first one. I was like, oh, this one's kind of decent. And then I played that second one. I was like, bleh.
Yeah, I'm going to start my own review. I don't review games on my channel, but I'm going to start my own now where I just review all the Halo games and talk trash.
Dude, you should release like 5-minute reviews after each and every one of my reviews that just say the exact opposite. Like, yeah, Super Mario 64 is the worst game I've ever played. And if you like this game and you just like show my channel, you're a dumbass.
Get out.
It's just like your whole channel is dedicated to bullying me.
I just call it Octorok Sucks.
Oh, that'd be
funny. Or no, it's Reviews Octorok.
Reviews Octorok. It's just opposite day over there.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But anyways, the getting into we kind of skip around here, but the graphics of this game Oh my, what's this, 8-bit, 6 or 16-bit era?
8-bit.
8-bit
That's
era, okay.
NES is 8-bit era, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a game, all right. So
immediately into this game, you get the intro.
The cutscene, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not in the Japanese version. Actually, that's only American exclusive.
Apparently, I did see I watched somebody play the Game Boy Color version to see what it looks like. Oh my god, full on cutscenes! I was amazed on how beautiful it looked.
Oh wow, does the Game Boy Color version look that much better?
Yes. It is. It is such. I want to play the Game Boy Color version because it looks really good.
You want to play this game again?
The game. People actually say the Game Boy Color one's actually good.
So I will say I noticed some changes when I was looking at like equipment details online, because the game doesn't tell you who can and can't equip certain things.
No.
When I was looking at those, this is one of the complaints we'll be talking about. When I was looking at that stuff, I saw that there's so many changes to what Orfeo can use in the remakes, because in this version of the game, the original version of the game, he's useless because he cannot equip anything.
So talking about the graphics though, it is not a very eye pleasing game. When I play it's one of those games where it really hurts my eyes after staring at it for like 30 minutes.
Oof.
Maybe that's just my eyes, but it just, oh my god, I just really dread it every time I'd wake up and start playing this game. And I'd be like, oh man, the color, I gotta put it down for like a while.
Yeah. Are we also talking about like the art animation here as well, or just like graphical output?
No, graphics right now, and then we'll go into animation in a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, there's really not much to say then from that perspective. It's 8-bit, it's very static, and I'd say, yeah, I'll wait for Art to talk about some of the other stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's you have the regular grass, you have sand, you have the trees, you have the rocks, the mountains, and all that. Which you walk through to your what would you what kind of RPG is turn-based RPG?
Yeah, it's turn-based.
Yeah, turn-based, which I really do dislike turn-based RPGs that I played so far. I believe Undertale's a turn-based. And I like that one, but I like
some
Undertale.
Action in it at least.
Yeah, Undertale has a great story and great boss fights. But yeah, this game, I just very much just hated walking around the map itself, and seeing everything. Once you enter a town, I think it got a lot better because they were able to put more detail into stuff.
Yeah, more visual variety.
Yeah, more visual variety since it wasn't a giant map that you were walking around, so they had a lot more to do, like buildings, the inn, the blacksmith, and all those. That was a lot better. I was like, I wish the entire game was just a town. Or even I went into a cave where I had to get to, I forgot the name. It was some type of water.
Yeah, I think that's the Spring of Bravery, I think is what it's called.
Yes, where I was finding the Prince of Korok. Is that the name?
Yeah, his name's Orfeo. Yeah,
Orfeo.
That's all I remember.
Yeah, but that's the I had no idea that you could equip friends with you, like to bring around before in this game.
Oh,
which is
okay.
This is the first game that I've actually had it to where you can get friends to follow you across the entire area and stuff like that. I've never.
Oh, really? You've never played a party-based RPG before?
No. I believe my brother has with Final Fantasy 1 and 2. You can do that.
Oh, yeah, I played those games.
My brother has played those, and he said they're like pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like there's like bosses where you would never even know to find them and stuff.
Yes,
very very hard. He said whenever we do play Final Fantasy 1 or 2, I am going to bring my brother on the podcast because I said that we would have him if we ever played those games. And I'm dreading playing those games because I do not like RPGs that much.
I thought you were going to say you don't like your brother.
His nickname is RPG. No, but getting back, I'm kind of straying off from graphics. Yeah, no,
straying off.
I okay. Did you both really hook up on that?
Yeah.
No.
I told you when I heard Bob's diamond pun, I was like, I like this guy.
My puns are so much better.
Yeah, because they're
Lego Batman 3 episode. I know Stickball hates me forever. That entire episode was punny. That's how I put it.
Tell the orphan joke.
Oh no.
Dude, I like where this is going.
What did the orphan say to the other orphan?
What?
Get in the Batmobile.
Oh my god.
I literally had so many jokes written down for that episode. I told probably like 20 jokes. And they were spread out, and I was like, oh, I promise I won't say any more. Stickball was done. He was about to leave.
And you immediately said another one.
Yeah, no, every time. I even pranked Stickball in the episode by saying Arkham Knight, the Arkham Knight games.
No, don't get started on this.
I said the Arkham Knight games connected to the Lego Batman games. At the end of the last Arkham Knight, Joker comes back, and if you 100% the game, of course, by collecting all the Riddler stuff, which is insane if you do that. Joker uses a machine that takes all of Gotham and turns it into Lego.
Oh, really?
And I let him stew on that for 2 weeks until Predator by telling him, I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you, but that was a prank. I was joking.
Wait, you said that so convincingly, even I was like, oh wow, that's quite the Easter egg.
I am an expert liar. I have perfected it in my life. I'm not proud of it, but I've perfected it. But it's coming quite handy for pranks. But yeah, no, I let Sick Bob's doing that. But yeah, what do you feel about the graphics on this?
Me or Bob?
Any of you, whoever wants to go first.
I think I've talked a little bit about it. So Bob, what do you think?
Okay.
Yeah, like what?
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
You just volunteer me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not really that sure about them.
You better not like them. You better not like them. The graphics.
Well, I'm not super negative about them. Like me personally, like it's and maybe this comes with like further context because I played Final Fantasy 1, right? Mm-hmm. And that game is same year as this game, both 87 if I recall. And I mean, Final Fantasy 1's general graphical output is not as good as this game's. Now, when we talk about art and animation, that's going to be a different subject. That's where I'm really going to rip into this game for sure. But as far as like pure graphical output goes, this is actually pretty good for 1987, I'd say.
No, I will say it does run smooth, but I was running it on an emulator, so it's probably very different compared to NES.
Oh, I was running it on NES and it was running just fine. There's no like big lag or anything like that.
Predator is a different story. It's super laggy on some areas.
And you like that game?
It makes it so good. The final boss fight is just
Predator's... It makes it so good?
Yeah, Predator's floating head shooting a ton of cannons at you. I replayed that area so many. It's a game that you have to one shot, and it takes about 2 hours.
It sounds like the end of Metroid. That game does the same thing where it's.
I have Metroid, and I have yet to beat it.
Oh, I beat that game several times. That's like the next review, actually. After Mario 64
That's the only Metroid game I've even attempted. I don't have any of them, even though I do want Metroid Dread.
Oh yeah, I got that one. It's a good game.
I think it looks incredible. But anyways, you were wanting to get into the animation and art style, so why don't we go ahead and get into that?
Yes, thank you. What animation?
Exactly.
I've been waiting to use that joke.
all it says, like when you fight something, all it says is, "Oh, you attacked."
It's literally like reading a book. To tell you the historical context, essentially, that's how CRPGs were like back in the day, like in the 70s. Like think Oregon Trail, which I'm sure you've heard of before, at least.
Yeah,
Those were
my
like
mom played it.
yeah, those were like the old CRPGs. They were basically books, because they were modeled off of tabletop RPGs, where the idea is basically that you have a dungeon master, the dungeon master being the computer in this case,
D&D
and it presents you, and it presents you these scenarios, and you make choices, and it's like a choose your own adventure book in that sense, and it goes down a certain route. And so that's like the thought process going into this is like, oh, that's how RPGs are made, so that's how we have to make this one. No one thought yet. Well, Squaresoft. That's what they're called this time. Squaresoft does with Final Fantasy 1, but no one at this time, by the time Dragon Quest 2 came out, thought, hey, maybe we should add some animation to these fights with the graphics we have, instead of just telling the player what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, you do know, I believe Dragon Quest was the first ever console RPG.
Yeah.
Which, because people are like, how do we put an RPG on a console?
Yeah, it's very historically important, which is like
why
the game was on my radar.
I looked at the, people playing the first one to prepare for this, and I was like, yeah, they mapped it out perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For you using a controller, you're not able to point and click with a mouse.
Yeah. So it was a very difficult process, and they deserve credit for that, and I'm sure that there are people, there's probably at least one guy listening to this right now who's like brewing because we don't like this game. And in all fairness, my man,
I've angered so many people this episode by like exposing all the games I don't like.
in all fairness, this game is historically important. Well, particularly the first one is. This one less so, but this game's historically important, and it had its place. And I understand why people in 1987 would perhaps like playing this game. But all that being said, Final Fantasy, which comes out the exact same year as this, comes out like a couple months after this game, I think, too, or maybe I think it might come out a couple months before this, actually. That game implemented animation for attacks. It was the first game to show you your entire party. It shows you all 4 party members. It shows you all the enemies.
Slashing their sword, using a spell, or stuff like that.
Even the individual weapons. If your warrior has a hammer, he'll use a hammer to hit with.
Oh, yes.
And if he has a sword, he'll use a sword. And with the different spells, they have different effects: lightning, ice, fire. They all look different. And they were they were going bankrupt, Squaresoft, right? They had no money when they were making that game, which is why it doesn't look as good as this game, graphics wise.
Imagine if they had the money.
Imagine if they had the money. Yeah. So if Squaresoft, who's going out of business in the same year, can produce a game with that kind of innovation, why was Dragon Quest so behind its time? And by the way, it continues to do this first person crap until like the PS1 era. So it's a choice.
Could Dragon Quest be considered, like back then, was it considered a AAA game?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Dragon Quest 2, I could see how a lot of people might have been disappointed. Playing it, predecessor to the first game, which I haven't played it, but I do believe people when they say it is amazing.
I don't think it's amazing, but it's decent, especially for an NES game. It's a good game, particularly for its time.
Being the first of its kind to be on a console.
Yeah, it deserves all of its credit. This game I hate because it's like the first one, but crappy.
Oh no. It's the middle child of, well, not really the middle child, because
no, it is actually, because the third one is considered amazing.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but when I say middle child, I mean more of a hidden gem.
Oh, well then no. Dear God, no.
This is not the diamond in the rough or
It's
anything.
it's the runt of the litter. It's
the runt. There we go. There we go.
The disappointing son.
No, and you just reminded me, talking about art style here, there is no art for the weapons.
Nope, none.
There's no
art for any item.
It doesn't tell you. Okay, so I found a little something, which I bet you know about, but I found it, and I found it quite interesting. When you buy stuff, in this one village, you buy stuff, and you get I was buying medicine for poison, and there's jackpots. A jackpot card.
Yeah, the lottery ticket, right?
Oh yeah, lottery ticket, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that quite interesting, and I started farming those because I like to find stuff in games that are interesting and then start breaking it. And I collected maybe in 10 minutes I collected 1,000 coins. And yeah, and then I went and I went to a blacksmith and I bought a little knife. I bought a little knife for my for the person following me. I had no idea if it was even better than what he already had, because I really can't tell if it is.
Yeah. That's another problem.
So I'm just like, it has a cool name. It's better.
Yeah, the magic knife, right?
Yeah, magic knife. I bought that. I bought chainmail for myself. I bought chainmail for him. I bought me a nice longsword or whatever it was. And then I went out and I noticed that it was more powerful because I started one-hitting slimes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, nice. And I just started, at that point, I just started farming. I think I got to level 10 or something.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere close. Off of, I don't know if it was 10. Might have been 7. But still. I was trying to get up there and I noticed my health was getting better and I was hitting for more, and that's when I actually kind of was enjoying the game a lot more, when I could actually defeat things. Which at the beginning, me and Stickball probably experienced this, dying a lot.
Yes.
I know I did talk to Stickball during our playthrough, and he was saying how he was dying quite a bit. Ain't that right, Stickballs?
But I was only dying once you get past that second castle.
Right. Yeah. Because the very early game is pretty easy. Because it's just slimes and slugs and stuff, and they do that on purpose because
metal slugs.
They want. No, they're not metal yet. But
I thought they were metal. They looked metal.
I think that might be like the ants, but I think they're metal ants.
The things that look like bee drills from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But the stuff at the beginning is super easy. But by the time you get to the as Bob said, after the second castle, when you're going to the Spring of Bravery or whatever it's called, that's when they start throwing out enemies that can actually really damage you. The moment they throw out magicians who can use fireball spells.
I don't know what it was, but it was something that was in the Spring of Bravery. In that dungeon, you run into this fire enemy, this flame enemy. I don't know what it was. I can try to look it up.
I do actually. So I want to ask, because I finished the game. Where did you guys get to before you rage quitted the game?
Our first rage quit, or?
I mean, after you stopped playing, basically. Where'd you get to where you stopped?
When I got lost, which was yesterday. I've been lost almost all week after getting money and becoming the richest person on this game and stuff.
Did you get the third person, the girl?
No, I only had the prince.
Oh, okay. What about Bob? Did you get the girl, Gwen? Good talk, Bob.
Stick Bob. What happened? Did Stick Bob get kicked or something?
No, he's there.
He's muted. He's muted.
He's muted.
He's probably talking to his parents or something.
Okay.
I do have a picture real quick. I'll just go ahead and show you this on the Discord.
Yeah.
It is from the top. It is the fifth enemy up there. It's like a scorpion or something. A snake. It's a cobra.
Yes. Those things poison you.
Yeah,
that sucks.
I thought it was a fire enemy because of it being red, but yeah, I died to that.
Yeah, I was on the first day, right? Because I basically told my brother what was gonna that I was like being invited on a podcast, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, let's let's hang out or something." And what we did was I played this game first on an emulator with him like watching me over Discord, right? And we were talking about it. And at some point, he was just like, "Man, I feel like we're seeing the same enemies over and over again, but colored differently." And that's what I'm seeing
like a
here.
different like a different art style, or
no, just different colors. Like if you look at this list of enemies you showed me, right?
Oh,
you've got a gray rat, then you got a blue rat, then you got a red rat.
I think that was more to distinguish how powerful, kind of like in Zelda, how they have the different colors of bokoblins.
Yeah, I know it's that sort of thing, but like it is like one of those things where it's like, oh wow, like here's a rat, and then this is a ghost rat, and you're like,
Okay, Stick Bob. Stick Bob. We were asking you, what was the question?
Oh, where did you get to before you stopped playing?
It was that bridge on the north west of the island.
Bridge.
Was it the one to the I think it was on the way to the dungeon, or whatever, if you call it that, to the Spring of Bravery. There's a bridge that you have to cross.
Yeah, there's a bridge to that.
I think it might be that.
I think all I need to ask is, did you get the girl, Gwen, on your team?
No.
Okay. So that's funny, because what I was really looking forward to, I remember when I selected this game, was talking about the lighthouse dungeon, but neither of you guys got to that.
This game is hard to navigate.
It is. So I mean, the way the game's structured, by the way, because neither of you guys finished it. So the way the game's structured, and you at least like experienced this. The game sends you on a wild goose chase at first, right? Because it's like, oh, go to this castle.
Yeah, go to this castle. Talk to the king.
And when you get there, then the king's like, oh, you're looking for my son. He went to the Spring of Bravery. Why don't you go there and look for him? And you're like, okay. And you go to the Spring of Bravery. You get down there, and there's an old man. He's like, oh, yes, you're looking for the prince. Well, you see, he just left, and he's going to your home. And you're like, okay, God damn it. All right. So then you go back to the very first castle, and you're like, hey, Dad, was the prince here? And he's like, oh, yeah, she was just here, but he decided to head back to the castle, his home, because he couldn't find you here. And you're like, God damn it. And then you go back to that castle, and they're like, oh, yes, my son was here, but he went to the village to the south. And you're like, ah. And you finally go there, and then finally, that's where he is at the end. He's like, oh, I've been looking all over for you. Where have you been? And you're like, I want to strangle this kid.
He was
so bad right now.
He was in the inn. Wait, was he in the? No.
Yeah, he's in the inn.
Oh,
yeah, he's in the inn
okay.
there. What's more frustrating is that you can't do it out of order. Like, you can't just like go to the inn and find him there, or you can't just like go to the Spring of Bravery and then catch him there. You have to do it in that specific order I just described. Otherwise,
it'd be insane to be that easy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, it's what I've talked about in videos of mine before. I think with that Link to the Past video in particular, where it's like, we want you to experience a story, and in order to experience that, we're going to make you do things in a very specific order.
No, you Link to the Past. I did have that problem, and Link Between Worlds being almost the same game.
Yeah, oh my god, it is. When I get to that review in 50 million years from now,
people will try to call it a sequel. I'm like, how is it a sequel? It is basically a remake of the game, just with different villains.
Started off as a remake, right?
Yeah, I can see how, because the entire game looks like a remake. It just, all they did was, oh, you can go into paintings now. Have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not fantastic. But
No.
that game aside, this one is very poorly paced, and
Yeah.
that's the beginning structure. And after you're past that, you have to go on a wild goose chase for the second character. But once you get both characters, the game is just like it just doesn't tell you what to do. It just has you go out into the world to collect 5 MacGuffins that you need in order to fight the final boss.
What
But
are
it doesn't.
MacGuffins?
Well, that's just like a general term for like things that you are looking for, like in a story. It's just like a
Oh,
general
okay.
term. But what the game calls their MacGuffins are crests. And if you're gonna ask me what crests are,
no,
don't, because I don't know what they are. They never explain what they are. But
nobody has an idea.
No, you just need them so that like the goddess of the game will be like, "Oh, yes, you collected all 5 crests. You are truly Erdrick's descendants. Here's the thing you need to beat the final boss." It's like actually how the game goes.
It kind of feels like you need like a Nintendo Power for it that explains what they were.
Wow, it's almost like they were trying to sell Nintendo Power magazines by
that's
making
what they
games.
did for a lot of their games. Like people found the secret warp tunnels on some of the Zelda levels. It was because of Nintendo Power and all that.
Yeah.
And now Zelda with the Triforce is kind of like the same thing as the crest, I would guess.
Yeah, except that the game like literally tells you that at the beginning, like with the title screen or the manual, it tells you like what you need to do.
That's what they got right, and
even by the way, even if you don't read, just if you wander into a dungeon and get to the end, you'll just find a Triforce there, and you'll be like, oh, that was like a big moment. There's like a music cue and everything when you get it, and it boots you out of the dungeon. These are the things I need to collect. It's all very obvious. Both
it is
through text and through game design, which is why I love that game so much. Praise it to hell and back.
And you kind of needed storytelling with all these old games. You needed a lot of that. Like you had to find different ways to tell a story that didn't take up much space.
Yeah, but this game just gave up.
They're like, we're creating this game.
Yeah, it's funny because they have like this like big background story. They're like, oh, there's this guy named Erdrick from a really, really long time ago, and you're descended from him, and you're like a hero because you're his descendant, which is always stupid because it's like really like the fact that like everyone's probably descended from this guy by this point because he lived like 1,000 years ago. But like I'm the chosen one. Like, okay, fine. But it has all this history to it, and it's like, why do I care about that though? Like, how does that add to the game world? Because as far as I'm aware, Erdrick is completely disconnected from the game's current conflict with this like wizard guy. So why does it even matter?
Yeah, a lot of uselessness. I did read the story. I've forgotten it by now because it was quite boring.
Always a good sign.
Yeah, and I'd like to touch on the music real quick.
Oh yeah, please do.
Does the music ever change?
No. Actually, so I do have to say that technically speaking, because you and Bob didn't get the third character, they do introduce a new overworld theme once you get Gwen. But
they add a B flat.
But that's it.
Wow.
That is it. And that's it until like the very end of the game, where of course there's final boss music. But other than that, no, it's the exact same soundtrack, and it's very samey. No. And the one part of the game, the one bit of the soundtrack that I like is the title screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, title screen music. Most of the time, it's better than the actual game music.
Yeah, like, except that's like the one thing of the game that I'm like, oh yeah, that song's really good. That song's just ripped straight out of the first one.
Oh. So wow. The only good thing about the game is not even new.
The only good piece of music, yeah, it's not from this game. It's from Dragon Quest 1. So,
so another thing, talking about Predator again, it's the same song over and over, and I couldn't stand the music, but I love that game.
I feel like every time you talk about Predator, you say something bad about it, and then you're at the end, you're like, I love that game still.
But, man, just
one of these days, you're gonna need to describe Predator to me in a way that doesn't make it sound bad.
Can we redo Predator and have you on? Can you do your review on Predator soon, please? I've been waiting for years.
I am so behind on my my Zelda reviews, basically, that I feel like my subscribers would like
kill you,
crucify me. Yeah, they would crucify me if I took a moment to be like, this is Predator. I spent the last 7 months on this video. Please enjoy.
No, they honestly, I think they would love it. Talking about the audio still. Yeah, I just played a gaming podcast over the actual music. I turned it off, and I just listened to a podcast called New Game Plus.
I actually considered listening to your guys' podcast while playing this game.
That's how bad it was. So you almost listened to our podcast.
That's what that made it sound like. No. I mean, like, because I was playing this game early on into it, or like last week, right, beginning last week, and I was like getting really bored with the music, and I was just like, man, should I start like just listening to their podcast episodes so that like I can get a better sense of like what I'm going on to? But like, I was like, no, I need to dedicate 100% of my focus to this, because otherwise I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to get up from my chair. I'm going to throw the controller down. I'm going to pace around the room. And then I'm going to have to do this dungeon all over again. So I was just like, no, I need to friggin' focus. My day-to-day life when I'm not playing video games for a YouTube channel.
The 30 minutes you have.
Right, the 30 minutes I have. I went to school to study history, and this year I'm probably going to end up going back for my doctorate, so that I can finally like move on and try to become a professor like I wanted to. But
a professor of like, video games.
No, history.
Today is Zelda. Turn to page 3 of Nintendo Power issue 14.
They're like, Professor, this is on the Russian Revolution. And I'm like, no. Right? You can't understand the consequences of the October Revolution without knowing exactly what issue of Nintendo Power we're talking about here today.
You need to know the Hyrule history.
Hyrule Historia. Latin for Hyrule history.
Yeah. But yeah, that's amazing, becoming a professor. But yeah, back to the game.
Yeah.
The difficulty of this game. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
For a noob, for me, first time playing, insanely difficult fights. I ran away from almost every one.
Yeah. Oh well, that's definitely not going to help, because, and that's like the thing that a lot of people hate about turn-based RPGs, and that I hate about turn-based RPGs, is that if you start running away from fights because they're boring or because they're hard, then you don't get stronger. And when you don't get stronger, fights get even harder and harder, and then it just becomes this death spiral, unless if you start grinding. And so I think that's like a lot of people's big problem with turn-based RPGs that like have experience like that. And I don't blame them, because if the fights aren't fun, people aren't going to want to fight them, you know?
Mm-hmm. I also do, in games, RPGs, I do not like forced combat.
Right. And that's what turn-based, random encounters are.
And I really don't like, I'm just trying to get to this town. Stop putting me in a fight.
Yeah.
A big reason why I do not like Pokemon, and I also think most of the games are the same game anyways.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I mean, Pokemon was my childhood, but like as an adult going back playing those games, not all of them are good. Some of my favorite games, I love Final Fantasy VII. And that is a turn-based RPG with random encounters in it. I really liked Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
Octopath Traveler. That one I liked, although I had problems with it. Dragon Quest XI doesn't have random encounter, sure, but it is a turn-based RPG, and I like that one a lot. So I have games I like from this genre. I don't just write them off, but it's about the difference of design. And I think that Dragon Quest II's basic design philosophy is a problem. The random encounters are numerous and they're truly random. There's no like cap to that's why there's a lot of times, I don't know if you noticed this, where you get into a random encounter, you finish the fight, and then you take one more step, and then
you
there's
get another one.
encounter. Yeah, and that happens in this game.
I think the percentage of getting an encounter is, I think, it varies on different areas that you walk on. Like grass gives you the least or something. It's like it's like a 30% chance or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know what it is, but
I don't know. Somebody should have made it a lot lower.
Yeah, well, they need to put like a cap on how many steps before you run into another enemy, like, because that's what even
5 blocks until you have a chance of getting another one.
Yeah, that's what every other turn-based RPG does with random encounters. Even that year's Final Fantasy, which I played, it's the same year and it's on the same console. You're not going to run into another enemy immediately after you just ran into one. It's going to be like a couple steps before the counter resets, and that's so that you're not constantly being stopped. The way this game's designed or programmed as it is, you can just run into enemy after enemy after enemy. It can just keep happening with nothing to stop it at all, and that's a real problem. And I think that really bogs the gameplay down, in particular when you're just trying to go somewhere. And it doesn't help that the fights themselves can be very stale, and not just visually, but also gameplay wise. They're very simple.
They can't keep the player entertained.
No, it's very difficult. The only fun that I truly derived from this game was growing stronger. It is nice to get a level up and be like, oh yes, I'm stronger now. It's a very simple but good feeling. That's kind of the whole point to an RPG with level up systems anyway, so it's not a huge plus. Or those few moments where I could just explore. And that's like the midsection of the game. This is probably my favorite part of the game. My favorite part is probably that midsection of the game where you're just allowed to explore. You're just allowed to go out and look for the 5 crests. And I had fun this time, the second time playing the game, not remembering where they were.
How dare you have fun?
Hold on, there's going to be a twist, okay? I had some fun going out and looking for these crests. That being said, when I'm constantly getting bogged down with those random encounters, and when some of those crest locations are awful and really asinine, and you have to look up a guide in order to find out that, like, say the water crest is located in a room without any indication that it's there, and you just have to like look around on the ground, right? When you have something like that and you're like, that's completely random, what even indicates that it's there? Then the game gets terribly bogged down. And those moments where I'm out exploring and I want to just like keep going and look for this stuff, they're very short-lived. It's not like in Zelda 1 where I have so much fun always exploring, because it's my choice whether or not I stop to fight enemies, and it's my choice whether or not I stop to go into the dungeon, and it's my choice when I go into a shop and basically restock on stuff, because that game doesn't have random encounters. It's not so much that you don't have that level of choice with this sort of game. So I'm sorry to anyone who likes Dragon Quest II, but it just doesn't work. Not this style of gameplay, not the way it's implemented.
Stick Bob does have something he has to do. Ask him if he could quickly tell us what his thoughts are on this game in general, like overall.
Yeah, of course.
So Stick Bob, if you still have your veto,
you won't need it.
Do you like or do you hate this game? Is it a yes or a no in your opinion?
I neither like it nor dislike it.
Okay, Stick Bob is officially kicked out of the podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Octorok.
Hey!
No, okay, so what do you mean, Stick Bob?
Like it's a good game, but it
Okay, that's all I need.
the stuff that it didn't make it good.
Yeah, it lacks in a lot.
I'll give it a yes.
Goodness. Oh my goodness. Stick Bob who?
Wait, how did you not get past the early game then? If you thought it was a good game,
Kept dying.
oh, okay.
So there was a game that I kept dying in, but I genuinely enjoyed. I forgot the name. Oh, Predator. I also died so many times, like probably 200, but I enjoy that game somehow. So I guess this is Stick Bob's Predator.
Mm.
Do you have a favorite part of this game? Like if you can find a favorite?
Well, so like I said, the mid section sort of like has when you get the ship, because there is a point where you get a sailboat. When you get that and you're allowed to go out and explore in whatever order you want, that is the moment where the game grants you some level of freedom. And that is probably my favorite part of the game, just because it's nice to have a choice for once. Before that point, there's no choice. You have to do things in a very specific order, as we talked about earlier with Finding Orfeo, for example.
You have to do
which is just horrible.
But when you that took most of my week. Most of my week right there.
Oh, seriously. But when you have that boat, it is a nice moment where it's like, oh, I can go to the lighthouse and do that dungeon first, or I could find the king on Moon Island or whatever it's called and get that crest, you know. But just because I have that freedom doesn't mean that the game that freedom takes place in is actually good. And just because I had some fun finally getting to that point, doesn't mean that the game's actually well designed. It's not. And that's yeah.
Which is kind of my favorite part of the game. Is something that I hated at the beginning, but then I ended up liking it because after I won the lottery, and became richest player in the game. I got good armor, which I think it was good armor's chainmail. And then I got a good sword because it had a cool name, so it's good. And that's when I started enjoying the game because I wasn't afraid to fight anything. And I started actually fighting things, and I found that more like fun grinding enemies, even though it didn't have much to offer as far as animation or like what you said, reading. I kind of just skip through, and I was like, yeah, whatever happens. I'll just kill this rat in 2 shots, whatever. More of a skipping. Wait, oh yeah, they do. I had to say they do give you the option of how fast do you want your the messages to type out.
Yes.
I put that all the way up.
fast. It made it difficult to read the cutscene at the beginning, though. That's
it did, but
the one disadvantage. But other than that, oh my god!
On my emulator, I can pause, just immediately pause. So I kept doing that. Also on the emulator, I can create a save state, which I tried not to. But sometimes I would create a save state in dungeon. And I'm like, I do not want to walk here again.
Yeah.
But I did try it a couple times where I actually went back and I dreaded walking back and just running into 50 more forced fights of enemies.
Yeah. I don't blame you because it's very hard.
No, but yeah, the combat is probably my favorite part. If I had to pick something out of the garbage can.
That's clearly we're stretching here.
Yeah. But least favorite part.
Everything. I think I wrote down actually
everything.
I just
you wrote down the entire code of the game. You wrote down.
Yeah, you know what I wrote down? I said everything. That being said, the very beginning is awful because of that wild goose chase that involved Orfeo. I think it's just so terrible because that's the start of the game, and you don't want to start your video game by um, opening it up with a very specific like set of instructions for the player to follow without even telling them what those instructions are. Because I think that's immediately going to turn so many people off. Where they're, I mean, you and Stick Bob didn't even get to collecting Gwen. You didn't even get your third party member. So I think if anything, that just like that proves the point. Like the beginning of this game is so terrible at drawing the player in and teaching them how to play the game that most people don't even get past the beginning of the game, and I think that's a real problem.
Which Zelda 1 did a very good job at teaching you the game at the beginning. Like, you spawn in, you go inside to the cave, you get your sword, and then the old man talks to you. And then you go out, you find your first enemies, you get to learn the combat, and then eventually you go to your first dungeon. But it teaches you very well. You get rupees, you figure out how to buy stuff, all that. And I think
it's beautiful. Yeah. It's my favorite NES game, 100%, and it's still one of my favorite games.
Wait until you play Predator, you'll change quick.
I will need to see what you are all about with that one. I think
I know I'm insane to like that game. I know
before
I
go out and buy it, I'm going to. Well, I shouldn't say I'm gonna emulate it on the podcast, but like I'll go out on a ROM site. No. When I buy it, wink. And I play it for that. When I play it that first time, I'm gonna have to see like what it is about the game that you appreciate, because I feel like it can't be nothing, like it can't just be like
it's kind of like a Metal Slug shooter.
Oh, Metal Slug, yeah, that sounds kind of
like cool. It's kind of like Metal Slug. My least favorite part has to be also in the combat, and it's I really hate the forced combat and how they did it in here. Like other games, I can let it off because they actually have it to where you don't get it every step that you take. And I feel like this one they messed up with it. Did the first one have this problem?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I will say
I hate the first one too.
I will say game. That first one's not as bad, in part because it's not as long. First of all, it's a much shorter game. It's a very compact RPG. Like, for example, in this game, the end game, like I actually have my old save file on here. I was level 38 at the end of the game. At the end of Dragon Quest 1, I was like level 16.
Wow.
So it's very different in terms. It's just there's a lot more time put into that second game before you can beat it.
Leveling up faster?
Not really, no. Pretty sure it's exactly the same, actually. And you only have one character in that first game as well. What I like more about that first game, actually, is that in this one, those random encounters are like they can be against multiple enemies, so it'll like take some time. The first one is exclusively one-on-one duels, so it's like a lot shorter each fight.
Okay.
Except for the few boss battles, and those are really interesting, actually. I think that you actually need to use like stuff like sleep spells or stop spell, like silence spells and stuff like that, because when you're in a one-on-one fight, there's a lot more strategy to it than when there's like groups, and you can just like hit over and over again. Like that's the best strategy.
Sadly, Stick Bob did have to go because it is very late for Stick Bob when we were recording.
Yeah, you said he's in Scotland, right?
Yes, and it's about 12 for him at night. Or something like that. So yeah, very sad. But he did tell us his thoughts. And I know Stick Bob does like weird games.
Yeah.
But for some reason, yeah, he hated Predator, and I keep on bringing up Predator. But yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. I was like, wait, were you pulling a Mr. Stray like what I did with Mario Galaxy? Pretend to hate it. And you did the same with Predator, and then you're like, no, I promise I did not. I pretty sure I did, but also Blaze hated it as well. But we go ahead and start getting to the end of this for Is this game good? We will have a final thoughts after, but is this game good? Stickbomb already said yes. You do have a veto if you want to permanently make it a no. But
No,
if I say yes, then it's a yes. Then the game is a yes because majority rules.
I know that technically speaking, I'm risking it all because I know if I say no, I feel like if I say no, you're gonna say yes just to screw with me.
The entire episode I've been actually pranking you. I love this game.
But because I wonder if it's possible that I could be invited on again, and in that case, we would probably play something like Halo or a Zelda game.
Yeah, something fun maybe.
Something actually fun that I would defend to the death. I'm not gonna waste the veto now, so I'm gonna just say.
Well, you know,
to make things interesting, I'm not going to use it now.
Okay,
I'm just gonna say no. This game's a no. It's always been a no ever since I first played it, and now having played it again, it's only more of a no. So that's my answer.
So people listening, I bet since we first talked about this game at the after the first 40 minutes of the episode, you probably tell the hatred for this game by the way that we talk about it. Yeah, it's a no, it's a no-brainer. It's a bad game. I hate it. It ruined my life.
Yeah, it was I hated having to pull myself away from editing in order to play this. Because I was like, man, I could be working on this video. I could have this out a few days earlier.
Instead, you got dragged to play this game, and you got dragged on a quest.
I was just gonna, when you said that, I was totally gonna go there. Dragging me on this quest.
But yeah, no, it is a no. It's not a good game. Do advise that you never play this game. You'll be you will live a much better life. Saying that, Octorok has ruined my life with this game.
Don't blame me. All right, I gave you the choice.
Yeah, terrible game. No, honestly, it is my fault that I said terrible game.
Terrible.
You know, it would have been funny if I was like, "Oh, I want a terrible game." You're like, "Majora's Mask." I'm like, "Whoa."
No, I'm not that much of a.
Unfortunately, we have discontinued the podcast. You are no longer invited. Yeah. I'm waiting. We still haven't gotten a Zelda game yet. We're 17 episodes in. We haven't gotten a Zelda, but we've gotten 3 Mario games.
You've gotten 3?
Yeah.
What was the third? I know it was Sunshine and Galaxy, but what was the
Sunshine,
third?
Galaxy, and the first Mario.
The very first Mario.
Super Mario Bros. Yeah, that was episode 12.
Was that a yay or a nay?
It was a yeah. It was no.
Okay.
Yeah, I beat that game as well. Yeah, no. Will we replay this game? I will never replay this game. Probably. I don't see myself ever replaying it.
Dude, I want to say no, but at the same time, I always feel like there's gonna be something to drag me back to it. Like,
do you feel the desire? Play.
Not the desire.
Oh, that's what we're really going for is the desire. Okay. You're like, I want to replay this game. It's so good.
Believe me, I don't ever want to play Skyward Sword again, but I'm going to have to for that video when I get to that.
You hate Skyward Sword?
Yeah,
wait, the Wii version, the Wii version.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I played the Switch version.
Okay, so maybe it's different enough. I don't know.
Very very good game because no motion controls. And you're not able to like. I think they had some type of teleportation in the original in like the Wii one.
Not really, no.
Couldn't you call your bird down or something to come get you?
No, not at any time.
Oh, okay. Well, the Switch one has an amiibo that you have to buy, and you can call your bird to you.
You know what's funny? Okay, you're not gonna believe this. I don't own the game, but I
you
own
have
the
that
amiibo.
amiibo?
It's literally like right up above me on my shelf.
I have 0 amiibos.
My mom, because I still get Christmas presents from my parents because they're
That's
they're
nice.
great people and they love me even though I'm an adult man.
Here's your
But,
Zelda amiibo.
but she I don't know, she got me that because I have a YouTube channel with anyway. So Akira Toriyama is the artist for this, and because of that, there will always be an interest in these games, and also because of its historical importance. So I think there will always be people who are like into RPGs or they're into Japanese stuff in general, right? Maybe they're weebs, whatever it is. Not to be insulting, but I mean it. Like, people who are otakus, and I was a weeb once. And so those people are always going to like look back at this sort of stuff and want to give it a try. I don't think Dragon Quest II specifically gets nearly as much traction as 1 or 3 or 7 or 8. Those ones in particular got a lot more traction.
Dragon Quest Builders being the best one.
I like Dragon Quest 11 a lot. But this one will still always have that audience because it has that historical importance and it has very famous names attached to it. And let's not forget, this was one of the best-selling NES games in Japan ever. So
I was
think
about to say America. Nah.
No, not in America. But I think the Japanese will always go back and look at this game like as something like we look at Metroid over here, which that's a game that sold poorly in Japan but sold really well in America. So I think this is like a game like that where to them it's like one of their best-selling games, something they're always going to go back to. Maybe not so much over here, but because of that, there is an audience for it. They're crazy, but they're an audience all the same.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't really have anything to add except if you like this game, the police should take you to a insane asylum.
If you like this game, I would love for you to explain why.
If you like this game, I would love to pay for your therapist.
Like if someone could make like seriously like a video, like an analytical video detailing why they think that this game specifically, Dragon Warrior 2, is a well-designed video game, I'd love to see it. I'll look that up afterwards to see if anyone's done that because
oh
no. Well, yeah, just because I'm interested in hearing what a fan would say.
There's there's some kid with glasses and a bowl cut who's like, okay guys, the way this is such a good game.
Sometimes I feel like I'm that guy. Like people look at me like that with my long reviews, like 2 hours long, and they're like, "Wow, this guy's really trying to convince me that Link's Awakening is an incredible game."
Going over every spec in the game. Yeah. No, I have peered through your reviews and everything, and you have so many timestamps in your videos of every dungeon, everything. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I actually
so much time.
Yeah, I have those like I write essays for these videos more than I write scripts actually. And when I write those essays, I section them out into those like sections beforehand. And that's how I get my timestamps. They're the same timestamps I have in the essay itself, / script. I actually have a question for you, and maybe this is like the last thing we'll talk about before the end of the podcast, basically. But how did you discover my channel?
Honestly, I was looking up Zelda reviews, and then I had found yours being an hour and 45 minutes, I believe.
So did you see my Link to the Past video first or something like that?
It was Link to the Past I had saw. And also I own the Game & Watch Zelda.
Oh, you own that too? Yeah, I did a product review on that.
Yes. And that is also I got it on its first day of release because I have a Zelda shrine with all my Zelda games on it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I have To my right, I have a shelf with my my retro games on it. I've got the Game and Watch there as well. It's nifty.
It's the only
Although
game series that I liked so much that I made a shrine for.
that is completely fair. I
The
do love Zelda.
Second Zelda, second game series coming close to it would probably be Uncharted, but there's not really anything to make a shrine out of. I own all the games and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the PS4 for Uncharted I now have.
That would be the shrine. You put up the PS4,
Yeah.
and you have the 4 games just lying on top of it.
Yeah. Usually we do spin a wheel, but actually we are not spinning a wheel yet again. You don't know this, but we are replacing you next episode with another guest.
Oh, really? Who's the guest?
He's a YouTuber. His channel is.
If he has more subscribers than me, then I am burning this podcast.
I don't believe so.
No, I'm kidding.
I gave him I gave him the same choice as you, to pick a game.
What, you don't need to obviously put this part in because I'm sure you want it to be a surprise. But what do you
think?
Well,
I always put it in of what we're playing next week, so that the listeners can play along if they would like to. They could play for the week as well and see our thoughts. But he chose Dragon Quest 2. no, he chose. We're playing it again. He chose Mario Tennis on the Game Boy Color.
Oh, okay. That sounds like that could be horrible because lots of Game Boy sports games are not the best.
He gave me a choice between that and GoldenEye on the N64.
You.
Okay, so
between this and Halo, I am done with you.
Yeah, no, I really hate 007 on. I think it's terrible. Perfect Dark. I think Perfect Dark is.
I mean, it's hard for me to get on you for liking Perfect Dark because that's a good game.
I'm joking. I haven't played any of them. I'm just joking.
Get out of here.
No, I haven't played 007, but I just didn't want to really cheat and choose a game that I know I'll probably really like. Because I know people.
Oh yeah, that's
people praise that game for being super like everyone's childhood.
That's why I didn't pick Zelda, is because I didn't want to pick a game that like I had a bias going in with, like, and that like I didn't want to blindside you guys.
Yeah,
with, like,
I was more wanting like if 007, if GoldenEye does get chosen, then I do want it to be more of a like it was spun by a wheel or a guest chose it without me picking. Or anything.
Right.
So I felt it would be cheating, so I picked a game that I don't know anything about, and that's Mario Tennis, which I've never played any. I didn't even know it was on the Game Boy. So yeah,
okay,
that's what we're playing next week. If anybody wants to play it, but yeah, what we usually do is we spin a wheel for a console, and then we spin for that console. But we haven't done that for 2 weeks. But yeah, he'll be our third guest. I'm really excited to have him on, but I was really excited to have you on as well.
Dude, I had a lot of fun. This was like super cool.
So much fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun editing this as well.
Yeah, and
I have 2 days to edit this.
And yeah, I was super stoked to get an invite like that and to actually like in live talk with other people about a game. Because I get tired of hearing my own voice, man. Going on like when I'm editing, and just listening to myself talk about a game, I'm like, am I making sense here? But yeah, feel free to contact me again if you ever want to do this again. Just sometime after like May 7th. I'm gonna be busy till early May. But okay. But yeah, anytime you want to do that again, I'd be open to it.
You guys can check out I will leave a link to Octorok's channel and check him out. Octorok Reviews, really good videos.
Thank you very much.
Goes really in depth if you like thinking about playing a Zelda or anything. If you've never played Zelda before, you might want to watch one of the reviews. Might make you get into it. I mean, how many people do you think have inspired to play Zelda?
Well, I've actually been having, I mean, just yesterday I was having a conversation with a bunch of members of my Discord channel, and I was talking to them about when they were first like playing Zelda games and everything. And one of them was playing A Link to the Past, and he just like had just started playing it up. And we were talking about that game and about like how some of the things I had said about it and stuff. And so I know some people have been inspired to play other games, give them a try, because of my videos, and that always makes me feel good. But I think most people who I've talked to have already played the games before when they watch the video. Um, but I do, of course, review them with the idea of like suggesting it or not suggesting it as well. So, which is why I give it scores and talk about whether or not I suggest it at the end. But
I have two more things that I want to ask you about.
Yes, feel
just
free.
Real quick. You might hate me for this one.
Okay.
One of my top probably 5 favorite Zeldas is Phantom Hourglass. I saw you on Discord saying that you don't like it.
It's actually the worst one in my opinion. And I'll see. Here's the thing, right? I have my opinions.
Do you not like the controls of using the stylus?
So here's the thing, right? I have my opinions of the games past the first 4 ones. The first 4 ones I've done analytical essays on. My thoughts on them are locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I am not sure how locked in my opinions on those future games are, including Phantom Hourglass. I've only played that game once. So maybe it'll be different. I will say this though. I liked a lot, Spirit Tracks, which
I haven't played it yet.
Okay, well that's the same concept. It has the same DS controls and everything.
Just despite you, I hate the game.
But it's a lot more polished. It's the same team that did Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
And so I think what it felt like when I played that game was the mistakes they made in Phantom Hourglass. They realized those mistakes and they fixed them in that sequel. And so that's how I feel about it. I don't think that Phantom Hourglass was a fundamentally flawed idea. It was an experiment. It was a tech demo for the DS.
It was a tech demo.
Yeah, and as such, it comes out pretty bad. But
I really just like the game. I enjoyed the.
What did you like about it? Please tell me.
I liked using the stylus for the combat and for moving and for doing like getting past levels, and then I also liked the main dungeon where you had to keep on going back after getting more sand.
I hate that.
I love that. I thought it was a great concept.
They actually reused the concept in
it made me feel like I was speedrunning.
They reuse the concept in Spirit Tracks, except they don't have you redo the same parts every time. You just come back to it and do the next part after you do a different dungeon. And I think the added twist they add to that was that you control 2 characters in that main dungeon. You control Zelda as well as Link. And she has a completely different moveset, and they have to work together. And I think that works really well, and actually that works well around the concept of using a stylus to control characters, because that's like the one and only time that you can control 2 characters in a video game is on the DS with a stylus. You can't really do that on the Switch or something like that. So they actually used the console's unique hardware to its advantage in that second one.
Yeah.
And I don't think they do that enough in Phantom Hourglass. That's my main problem with that game.
Okay. Last question. This one is gonna probably be part of video game history for a while. It's pretty new. How do you feel about the Mario movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
Me either.
Yeah, and I can't. So I can't speak for it if I haven't seen it.
But are you interested in it?
Yeah, so it had some bad scores coming out from the critics so far, from what I've seen.
A lot of people are complaining, like they're like, "What movie did the critics even watch?" They're like, the critics, like some other journalists were like walking by. They said they walked by other people, and they're like, "Oh, the game felt like the movie felt like it was for kids." And it's like, duh, it's made by Illumination. They're a kid studio. Like, what were they
Yeah,
thinking?
I mean, I wonder because, like, obviously there are kids films,
Yeah.
technically kids films, that are brilliant cinematic masterpieces nonetheless. Like The Lion
Mhm.
King is one of my favorite examples of that.
Oh,
Um, the one thing I can comment
Treasure
on,
Planet. Treasure Planet's
oh, that's a good
fine.
movie. Yeah, it's a really good movie. Um, the one thing I can comment on from what I've seen of the trailers is the animation.
Oh
And
my, amazing.
I will say that I am thoroughly impressed that Illumination's current film, which I've always seen Illumination as sort of being lowbrow compared to other animation studios, but
Despicable Me.
Illumination, yeah. I mean, the first one's like a decent film, but animation-wise, it's not the best.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say what's surprised me is that this film looks better than every Pixar film that's come out in the last like 4 years, since
Oh,
Incredibles
yeah.
2.
Oh
Incredibles
my
2 was the
goodness.
last good looking Pixar film. And since then, there's
Um,
just been a massive drop off in their quality.
but anyway, thank you so much for joining today. And I can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Mhm.
I had lots of fun and I'd love to come on anytime, any
Mhm.
other time that you want to invite me. So thank you.
Yeah, we sure will. Of course, I'll have your links in chat, YouTube and everything, so people can go check you out. Um, and also when we do post cards that the episode is out, we will have your channel on that as well. But thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you everybody for listening to this episode. If you would like play Mario Tennis for our next one, see you guys next week for another episode. Until then, great day and peace.